is a very beautiful Thursday morning, Lomhla Kuseni. It is the 13th of July 2023. Sinvusele sinamukele luhlelweni leniluthanza kweKusile breakfast show. It is indeed your perfect recipe to start your day. Siyakwamukela ke wamukelwa ngisifiso nxuma lo hamba nalolu magagula mthombe nangikwamukela lamhla. Ngiyakwamukela lamhla.
I'm good. How are you this morning?
I'm all right. Ngiyaphila.
Yeah. It's a Thursday. Got out to the weekend.
Are you okay?
I'm well. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is the 13th of July 2023. Mnyaka sophelile sesi hafini mnyaka wa 2023 in less than 6 months. Services ngena mnyaka wa 2024. Kukumbuka nje ukuthi you can also watch the show on YouTube on our Eswatini TV page. Lamhla ehlelweni sizabe sikhulumisana nalabasuka ka Eswatini Epilepsy Organization. Sizakumela ukuthi itolo kube nemsebenzi lomkhulu lapho basukumise khona sikhwama lapho khona batawusita bantfu abesikolo ngaso lesikhwama kakhulukazi bantwana labaphila naso lesimo se-epilepsy basibhedeke ngembuso munye mahlalela charity education funds lakumele ukuthi naye lo yebeka ngumphathi waso lesikhwama nokubeka ngumphathi wayo le organization i-epilepsy organization. Unfortunately ke wasishiya emhlabeni. Sitabe sikhuluma kabanti ke kuva kabanti ngaso lesikhwama ukuthi ingabe bangakhi kahle abafundi labataw benefita kiso lesikhwama nokuva nje isimo se-autism noma ke se-epilepsy lapha eSwatini ukuthi ngabe sisebene kanganani silive kuzama nje kwanzisa lwati ngaso lesifo. Kanti ke ngikusho kwe-Global Burden of Disease Report iminyaka wa 2013, the annual mortality rate per 100,000 people from epilepsy in Eswatini has increased by 52.2% since 1990. This is an average of 2.3% a year. And in 2013, the annual mortality rate was 8.3% per 100,000 people. The annual years of healthy life loss per 100,000 people from epilepsy in Eswatini has also increased by 44.5% since 1990, an average of 1.9% a year. Sidabe sikhulumisana ke namandisa lukhelo lesuka kiyo lenhlangano sive kabanti nje ngemetamo lasebayendile ngekubambisana nohulumende kufinyelele lusito kubantu labaphila nesimo se-epilepsy.
Kanzike staphinze sibe nabo baka Industrial Development Company of Eswatini IDCE labeta for their last episode lomuhla, which is episode 10. I can't believe it, Lulu. So sibe nabo for 10 episodes already.
10
and
weeks,
they haven't missed a single Thursday. And I believe Kutsi Babugelbe KBS, they've become accustomed to the nkulumo leti hambilana now my offerings or my services aga IDCE. But we will welcome Mr. Mtunzi lomuhla. He is Mr. Mtunzi Dlamini, as well as Mr. Manzolwandle Dlamini, who are the Business Development Manager and Head of Property, respectively, Konaga IDCE. Lomuhlake stabe sibuganje inzaba property offering yayo IDCE. Also, just giving a high-level summary of the past episodes for the benefit of viewers who may have missed all those past episodes. Kongelogo stak discussa nebaga IDCE uma bafika lomuhla ekseni. Kanzike sitawuphinze sichubeke nehlelo sijoyinwe ngilabaqhamuka ka micro projects. Kukhulumisa nje indzaba lenkhulu stabe siyiva kumcondzisi weliphiko lahulumende lolubuke donatakhiwo i-micro projects Sibusiso Mbingo. Utawusichazela kabantu ukuthi lolu hlangothi lisebenze kanjani kule minyaka lesihlanu. Kule minyaka lesihlanu ke siyathi ukuthi uhulumende ukhiphe imali encako ku over 800 million emalangeni kuletha sito esivenet inhlangothini letahlukene micro projects simona kakhulu enda imisebenzi yentuthuko emaphandleni athuthukisa tikolwa akha ema food bridge nalamanye nje ama bridge. Tasichazela kabanti ke babembingo ekutheni basebenze kanjani. Probably project lemisebenzi leseta ukuta in the next financial years.
All right, stay with us. It's 4 minutes after 6. Asisibuke nje ma tihloko lethamba embili kumaphephandaba. Saqala ngephephandaba iTimes of Eswatini sibuka tihloko lethamba embili lomuhla. Kanti indzaba lehamba embili lapha kuneloli lapha bathi Eswatini woman burnt in truck in SA kanti making front headlines kamkhweli voters validation over 500 unknown voters wanted out. On page 2 MSF, this is not the dialogue we want. Kanti-ke kwendeke lesinye sigameko, another gruesome murder, man stabbed, throat slit. Lenye lehamba embili on page 2 cabinet remains in office ngekusho kwa government spokesperson Alpheus.
Kanzi kutemidlalo khona ku Times of Eswatini negijima imbili indzaba lekhulumisa ukuthi kutawuba bete ema teams latawuba seeded in this year's MTN Momo Cup. Indzaba ke lena lokungathi kuthiwa relief for ema teams in this second edition as no seeding in this 2 million emalangeni MTN Momo Cup exciting tournament set to get underway on the 23rd of September. Lenye le gijima embili indzaba labayititlishe bathi Mavuso Mayhem lekhulumisa 424 emalangeni compensation for Rafaela lokwabake Super League side Eswatini United have been ordered to pay 424 emalangeni to the country's top referee Thembinkosi Dlamini as compensation for assaulting him. Kanzikelenye le gijima embili SBS has injected 210,000 emalangeni into tennis. Yeah, ngileto ke ngathi gijima embili ephaphandzaveni e-Times of Eswatini temidlalo.
Kanti-ke kulethamba embili Eswatini Observer lomuhla FNB West Bank pump in 400,000 amalangeni for trade fair. Kulenye lehamba embili ku page 2 and 3 blow for government in CMS case. Judge Mota dismisses government's application to reverse interim order granted to 2 officials challenging drugs probe. Kulenye lehamba embili Parliament's dissolution cabinet remains. Kanti on page 4 and 5 officers defy ministers ngekusho kwa Minister Manqoba. Kanti kulenye lehamba embili le ku page 3 a validation exercise has been completed.
Kutemidlalo Eswatini Observer legijima embili invukuthelo yetihlwele tesihlangu semnikati leseti funa ima changes kuso sihlangu semnikati following the early exit from the Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup. Kanzike lenye lehamba embili ngile new format yayo i-Momo Cup ekutheni kutawuba bete i-seeding letawuba khona. Kanzike i-prize money yakhona is still unchanged as part of wona ima headlines announcement ye new Momo Cup letawuqala September.
Alright, it's 8 minutes after 6 ngedolo lethamba embili kumaphephandzaba ethu lomuhla. Let's take a break sibe netindzaba teSwati.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letentiya ngaleso sikhatsi tindzaba letide emagama laqosheme letitsembekile letitsintsa tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni
kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo netemhlaba wonke jikelele siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhatsi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulomsakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letichamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV.
Nine minutes after 6 asithathe tindzaba talapha ekhaya. Silo inkosi imswati wesithathu sesibitela cwebetelako esifundza saseshiselweni kuthi yaphelele ngetinkhane esigodlweni embangweni kulemphela sonto kuyaqhubeka nemsebenzi webukhosi. Lokhu kuvakele ngamanyathelo Dlamini lowente isimemetelo egameni lendvuna yemajaha aseshiselweni mkhokheli Tsikati.
Uyeswana lalela tinhlaba letiphuma enkosini uthoka ndaba emabutho ishiselo yonke ayiphelele lapha esigodlweni emphangweni ngemgcibelo mhla 15 uyawutsingela isondlo mhla 16 uyawusiyaqala ke lo msebenzi wamakhosi lobalulekena kangaka nanga ke lamabutho inganyeti inyathi umgadlela umkhololo usho njalo ngomswazi omnyama kulabalithuli lodunga ndaba sembelebele lodunga ndaba semampondweni ayethe
Uvulwe ngalokusemthethweni umhlangano webaholi bemave kanye nabohulumende lapho bangenele khona nabahlangene khona netinhlangothi letahlukene lapho kwetanywa kutfolwa emasu ekuthuthukisa iminotfo wemave ase-Afrika. Umhlangano we-15 uvulwe ngumengameli welive leBotswana Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi. Mvunankulu umelele ingwenyama inkosi Mswati wesithathu kulo mhlangano.
Ndvunankulu Cleopas Dlamini, mengameli weZimbabwe Emerson Mnangagwa, mengameli weMozambique Philippe Nyusi, mengameli weNiger Mohamed Bazoum, lisekela la mengameli weNamibia Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, kanye nandvunankulu waseLesotho Sam Matekane, bemukelwe ngumengameli waseBotswana Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi ungakaqala umhlangano lomuhla. Baholi kanye namabandla labaholako babe sebachubekela emhlanganweni lovulwe ngalokusemthethweni ngumengameli Masisi.
African heads of state, US and African government officials, top CEOs, and senior business executives spanning major sectors that are critical to the continent's development, including infrastructure, ICT, health, energy, mining, and creative industries.
Mengameli Masisi uthi lo mhlangano we-15 i-US Africa Business Summit wakhela etisekelweni temhlangano webaholi i-US Africa Leaders Summit wanyakenye lwabanjelwa eMelika. Mengameli Masisi uthi isicubulo salonyaka sikhombisa ngalokucacayo ukuthi livekati lase-Afrika lisalela emuva entuthukweni. Ngako lo mhlangano ukhombisa inshisekelo yamave ase-Afrika kuthatha tinyathelo letibonakala kwakhe indlela leticinile letisebaleni letifaka onke emave kutekutsengiselana. Mengameli Masisi uchubeke wathi emave lamanyenti e-Afrika abhekene nensayiya yekwakha emathuba emisebenzi kanye nekuthuthukisa lizinga lelinani lemkhicito lawatsengisela lamanye emave. Mengameli Masisi uthi kulokunye kumele kunakwe tindzaba tekuthuthukisa tempilo, tekuchumana nebuchwephesha, temandla nengibiwa kwemicebo waphansi kuti i-Afrika ithuthuke ibuye isimamise umnotho wayo.
We should recognize and commend African leaders for the formation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCTA. Once fully operational, the AFCTA will build and strengthen regional integration as well as boost intra-Africa trade, thus increasing.
Mengameli Masisi wephethe inkulumo yakhe ngekudumisa abaholi bemave ase-Afrika ngekusungula i-African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, lebonakala itosita kuthuthukisa umnotho we-Afrika ngekwenta kube lula kutsengiselana ekhathi kwemave ase-Afrika. Umhlangano utawuchubeka ngalesine etindzabeni kubika Bongani Mathebula e-Royal Area Conference Center Tlokwen, Botswana.
Ngakulokunye Mvunankulu Cleopas Dlamini ukhulumike ngekwekuthi ke live la Kangwane selendelo kunengi kuthuthukisa tekwatisa tekuchumana netebuchwephesha kanti ke lokhu khulume embi kwebaholi labaye kuyo le Africa Summit ngekubuketa ke emasu kwekuthi bangatithuthukisa kanjani tindzaba letibuke kwatekwatisa tekuchumana netebuchwephesha khona eAfrica.
You have to have the appropriate policy legislation, the regulatory framework to make sure that you have a level playing field and everybody plays by the rules. Then you have to have the right infrastructure. You have to have the basic education that will skill the people to use the IT. In other words, right from schools up to the highest level, you have to have that kind of training.
Ndvunankulu Cleopas Dlamini uthi kunetinsika letimcoka lekumele ukuthi tinakwe kude live ngelive lithi linetekwatisa tekuchumana kanye nebuchwephesha lesezingeni lesetulu letilungele kuthuthukisa umnotho. Ndvunankulu uthi letinsika tifaka ekhatsi umthetho wengamelelo lohlangothi kanye nako konke lokutawenta ukuthi kusebenta kube melula i-infrastructure. uthi lokunye lekumele kunakwe yimfundo letawulolonga sive ukuthi sikhona ukusebenzisa tekwatisa nekuchumana netebuchwephesha kanti lokhu kumele kucala esigabeni lesiphansi kutemfundo kude kufike esigabeni lesetulu. Ndvunankhulu uthi kuko konke lokhu bohulumende kumele bente isiqiniseko sokuthi tekwatisa kuchumana nebuchwephesha titfolakala melula eziveni. Ndvunankhulu uthi laseSwatini lekunakile labuyela kwenta konke lokhu lasakubalile laphindze laba netinhlelo lelitiniketa sive ngato tekuchumana tekwatisa nebuchwephesha. Etindzabeni kubika Bungani Mathebula eRoyal Area Conference Center eTlokweng, Botswana.
Labo labe bamalunga eParliament el-11 sebadumise ingwenyama inkosi Mswati wesithathu ngokuniketa eMaswati itfolo gcina ukuthi likusasa lalelive lihle. Emalunga kusho lokhu nakakhutalwandle ngenkulumo yenkosi lethule esibayeni.
Ingonyama emhlabana iphefumulela eMaswati esibayeni. eMaswati waniketa itfolo gcina inkosi ukuthi nase wendlulile lo msebenzi lomkhulu welive welukhetfo. eMaswati atawuphindze abutsane esibayeni kuyawudzingidwa tindzaba tekwakha lona live leSwatini. Labo lebe bekatse bangemalunga eParliamente kuParliamente el-11 bayayidumisa inkosi ngekuyiteka indzaba yeseMaswati atawukhulumisana esibayeni.
Ishaya inhloko ngekutsinza indzaba ye-dialogue ngoba vele bese kuyindzaba lokubonakala ukuthi eMaswati asamehlwana ngayo nalabo abangaphandle bese baqala ukusola ngayo kokuthi live lenjani lelingakhulumisani. Siyabonga ke kunene ukuthi ayifake ngalendlela futhi lokukhuluma kwakhe ukukhuluma ukuthi dilungiseleleni ngoba sowushido nokuthi itawuba khona nini.
Emva kokube konke sekwendekile njengoba nje kuyolikhethweni live litawube seliyathola lithuba lekuthi ilibite inkosi litowukhuluma njengoba ishito yenkosi ukuthi kukhuluma kutawube kungaqali kukhuluma kusemlandweni weMaswati. eMaswati abevela akhuluma lapha nakufika tikhathi tekuthi kakukhulunywa iphasi lenkosi ukuthi bekune COVID lesiyadiko sonke ukuthi yavala kuhlangana kwebantu kungaleso sizathu ke lokuthi bekusolo kungendeki kodwa ke yasho ukuthi nasi sesifikile isikhathi sokuthi umkhuhlane songazi usikhweshile itasibita sive lokho sikubheke ngemehlo labovu.
Loyo ke lebekathe ayimphunga kuParliamente el-10 Sibongile Ndlela Simelane kanye nalibekathe alunga leParliamente kuParliamente el-11 Sibusiso Dlamini wasekwaLuseni baphindze bayidumisa ke ingonyama ngekukhutsata sona sive ukuthi siphume ngetinkani kuya ke likhethweni kubebede labo labasabisa labanye.
Ijajiswe ukuthi ingonyama ithasi yena elikhethweni thina bomake nathi siparticipate sibonakale silingisa lokushiwo ngumhlaba ukuthi kube bomake babe bakhona.
eMaswati avile ukuthi upassionate kangakanani inkosi yethu about ukuthi eMaswati ayokhetha freely akhethe abantu labafunako. Kusiphethe kahle kakhulu thina siMaswati kukuva lokho kuchamuka kumlomo longacalimanga.
Ngokwembulelwa ngulomzala wetinsuku ingonyama emhlaba ibeseke icela into yinye eMaswatini ukuthi ahambe ayilandzele tinfungo letingito tekwakha lelive kuleminyaka lesihlanu letako. Umbiko ohlanganiswe ngiLington Gule ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini sezulwini.
Kanzi ngakulokunye nesive sibonge emave ngonyama lewaphefumula esibayeni nayiphefumulela umhlaba ngalesibili ngesikhathi icitha iParliamente yeli-11.
Jabule kakhulu anyway sabona ukuthi ingonyama yethu isicabangela lokuhle ngaso sonke isikhathi and umthandazo wayo ukuthi delikhetho lolutaba khona nyalo ufuna libe likhetho loluhle.
Ukhulume kahle ukhulume ngekuthi so in the rural areas kunabo gesi and everything so kuphucukile and everything siyabonga vele kakhulu.
Nokusho inkosi siyangasisekeleni sambeni siparticipate singene elikhethweni sambeni sisebenza sikhethe futhi sikhethe abantu labatasimelela kangcono leParliament.
So siyajabula ukuthi inkosi isifakile nathi ukuthi ekukhetheni kuyaphambili sicela ukuthi bangasali laba nama special needs nabo basiba involve.
Vele ngeke kube live singakhethi ngeke kube livele likahle singikude lo ngathi basimelela kuloku kahle ubonga kakhulu nje nasemaswadini ukuthi asichubeke sikwende lokho ngoba vele kuyinto lekhona siphila ngayo. Sichubeke nale nhlonipho sibambe yona kakhulu. So alalele nalamakhosi ukuthi konke la kusho kuyasida ngoba isikhathi esiningi avame kuba nenhlakanipho leside yona thina.
Indvuna yelitiko letemidlalo emakhono nemasiko Harris Bulunga seyivule ngalokusemthethweni lovisile emakhono esifundzeni sakaHhohho. Indvuna itsite ndzawo itawuba lusito kubantfu labasha labanemakhono lahlukahlukene ekuti icecesheni kanye nekutsengisa umsebenti wabo emakhasini abongcondvomshina. Ichubeke yatsi litiko litawukwenta siciniseko kwekutsi lendzawo itfola abongcondvomshina kanjalo ne-internet kuti bantfu labasha baticeceshe kahle.
Litiko letemidlalo emasiko nemakhono ehlangotsini lwe-National Council of Arts and Culture emkhankasweni yokuhlangabeta bantfu labasha ekwakheni ematfuba emsebenti lisukumise lihlelo lokwakha tindzawo tekutilolonga kwebantfu labasha emakhonweni abo lehlukahlukene ngetifundzeni totine telive. Lamakhono afake ekhatsi umculo, tinkondlo, kutfunga, kubata kanye nekudvweba kubala kulokunye. Indvuna yelitiko letemidlalo emasiko nemakhono Harris Bulunga ithi litiko lemtsibi munye nelihlelo lwahulumende lokuletsa hulumende kubantfu i-decentralization.
Njengoba sathi ukuthi singuhulumende wetinkhundla and sihambisa imbili indzaba ye-decentralization ukuthi hulumende akaye kubantfu, lusito loliqhamuka kuhulumende luye kubantfu. Nathi-ke silitiko sithatha i-service ye-art and culture siyisonzeta kiwo ema-artists nema-creatives ngoba kusikala ama-artists kuphela labahlabelako but bonke laba ku-creative industry ukuthi kube sedvutane nabo. Lokhu-ke indlela uhulumende lazama ukuthi aba-empowerishe abantu labasha ukuthi kuba-createle ematfuba ukuthi batiphilise.
Lokhulumele bantfu labasha Wandile Ndlovulo watiwa nga-M-Nation usite kufika kwalelo hovisi kukhulu kusatawendeka endzaweni yase-speaking up temakhono.
The first time espeak siba netho lenhle kangaka. Sipiki besisoloke silibandla siyouth sidlubulunzeka sithi veta ngengane. Noma bathi basivalela lapha kephana nje. Hawu sithi vetile ngengane sagcina sibonakele. Sibonga kakhulu. Etikweni la arts and culture kusicabangela nayo into lenhle nakangaka.
Kwanyalo lamahhovisi asasesifundzeni saselubonjeni nesakaHhohho kanti asatawuchubekela eshiselweni nakamanzini. Etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV ngengibonga Simagagula iSpiki.
Tenele Dlamini uhambe embili kumchudzelwano wabosomabhizinisi labancane besifundza saselubonjeni. Lo mchudzelwano ubanjwe inkampani yakaSetco ibambisene naletinye tinhlangotsi letifaka ekhatsi libhange le-First National Bank. Lomele indvuna yelitiko letemabhizinisi nekutsengiselana Cebile Nhlabathi utsi likhulile linani labosomabhizinisi labancane elibonjeni. Utsike lokhu kuyintfo lenhle kakhulu njengoba hulumende akhutsata kona kusungulwa kwemabhizinisi.
Bosomabhizinisi labancane besifundza saselibonjeni sebemukele imihlomelo lehlose kubakhutsata ukuthi batimisele bachubeke nekutakhela emathuba emisebenti ngekutakhela emabhizinisi abo. Lomele indvuna yelitiko letemabhizinisi nekutsengiselana kwawo Cebile Nhlabathi ukhutsate bosomabhizinisi labancane ukuthi bachubeke nemabhizinisi abo uthi abagcine bamelane nato tinsayeya lababhekana nato.
National Entrepreneurs of the Year awards are one of the initiatives that the ministry utilizes to contribute to an inclusive entrepreneurship development of MSMEs and the informal sector in the country.
Inkampani yakaSetco ngekubambisana naletinye tinhlangotsi letifaka ekhatsi libhange le-First National Bank FNB ikhutsate bantfu labasha balesifundza kutsi bayisukumele etulu indzaba yekusungula emabhizinisi abo. Umphatsi wakaSetco Khethiwe Mhlanga uchaza kabanti.
And we appreciate the work that our entrepreneurs have taken in this path. So we do commend all our entrepreneurs in terms of their accomplishment and hope that their success here and going forward.
Tenele Dlamini wenza yasesiphofaneni lohambe embili kulesifundza uthi kumcokwa kubeka inzuzo ungayidlabhatisi.
Ngiyabona ukuthi ngidenale mali. Ngicala kadayisa i-ice esiphofaneni eBasbengi ngithwala i-ice market lapha emabhasini. Ngaya-ke kuya ngiyathengisa ema-perfume.
Lokuhlomeliswa kwabosomabhizinisi labancane kuyindlela yokuthi bosomabhizinisi bakhuthateke bakhone nekuhlangana bacushisane ngetemabhizinisi. Umbiko uhlanganiswe ngithembelihle Magutshwa ngisesteki.
Ibhange le-FNB selisekele umbukiso walonyaka ngemali letinkhulungwane letingemakhulu lamane 400,000 emalangeni. Ingcenye yaleyo mali ichamuka eWest Bank kani itawuba yemoto letawusebenziswa kulo mbukiso. Lesetfulo sale mali sendiwe emavuso kamanzini.
Libhange le-First National Bank selisekele umbukiso walonyaka ngemali lengu-400,000 emalangeni. I-West Bank lekuluphiko lwe-FNB lisekele ngemali lengu-200,000 letawubaka imali yemoto.
We are hopeful that even this year's prize will add great value to the life of the winner. At West Bank, we understand the significance of mobility, not only for individuals but also for small businesses.
Lobukete kumaketha ka-FNB zethu Dlamini uthi babone ukuthi abasebenzisane babambise umbukiso walenyaka lobuyako ngemuva komkhuhlane we-COVID-19 lo umisileke lo mbukiso angakhoneke ukuthi uchubeke.
We do acknowledge what you are doing, and as FNB, our door will always be open because we believe that what we are doing or what you are doing and what we are doing somehow aligns, because essentially what we do try to do is for the betterment of Eswatini, for the betterment of the businesses Eswatini as well.
Umbukiso walonyaka utawuqala mhla lulunye tite tibe lishumi enyangeni yenyoni eminyakeni losetulu. Kanzi-ke kutawuba netigaba letahlukahlukene usachubeka kufaka ikhatsi kufundza ngebhizinisi temidlalo naletinye. Etinzabentana muhla ngengiyani Msibi nginasimuva Shongwe nasindiswa Zwane emavuso kamanzini.
Liyachubeka nekutekwa licala lebasolwa lababhekene nelicala lekubulala abosomabhizinisi noma ke somabhizinisi wakamanzini Jomo Khumalo lobekakatsi yasebenta kumikisa emaveni abomakhelwane labachupha impahla ema-hawkers. Umbuso ubuyise efakazi wembuso eboxini lokunguntokozo Mngomezulu losebenta enkampanini yetincingo i-MTN Eswatini lapho achaza khona ngekushayelana kwebasolwa kulelicala.
Lelicala naqhubeka nekutekwa afakazi wombuso Ntokozo Mngomezulu watisa inkantolo ngekushayelana kwetincingo etinомbolweni letintsatfu lokungu-76502188 inombolo 76037324 kanye naleyo lethi 76502188 inombolo 76037324 kukholelwa ukuthi yemsolo Maxwell Kambulu bese inombolo 76665817 ikholelwa ukuthi yaloyo beka ngumsolwa losaphenduka kwaba ngufakazi wembuso lokungusenzo Sithole. Umsolwa Kambulu ebeyakathi aphikisa tinsolo ukuthi mhla ka-15 enyangeni yeLweti eminyakeni wa-2019 wewelele eveni laseNingizimu Afrika. Lo msolwa uthi lokufakazela lokhu ukuthi akatanga aphume kuleli ukuthi inombolo yakhe elicingo lengu-76037324 bekazi ibamba inetwork yaka-MTN lebitwa ngembabane SBIS. Lofakazi wombuso uchazile ukuthi lokhu kwabangelwa ukuthi le nombolo yaNkambulu ebeyikathi ichunyaniswe nenombolo lethi 0027820202. Lofakazi wombuso uthi lokhu kubangelwa ukuthi yathi inombolo 76502188 nayishayela inombolo yemsolwa wachunyaniswa kule nombolo yaseNingizimu Afrika i-call forwarding njengalokhu umsolwa ebekaromile kunetwork yaka-MTN Eswatini nakaphuma abheke eNingizimu Afrika. Ummeli womsolwa Advocate Lucas Maziya ukhale ngekuthi ufakazi balofakazi wembuso abusahambisani nalobo lofungelwe, kodwa lijaji lenkantolo lenkulu Ticeme Dlamini watisa lo mmeli ukuthi kungaba kude sidingeko sekuthi bamhlohle imibuto lofakazi njengalokhu bekachaza kulokho beyakathi wakho kwetfula enkantolo. Ummeli womsolwa uvakalise ukuthi njengalokhu umbuso sowucedzile nabofakazi bakhe basatohlala phansi babuke ukuthi batachubeka kanjani kuleli cala. Tindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla isenkantolo lenkulu.
Kutemi idlalo umqeqeshi welikhethelwa lesive Dominic Gunene uthi-ke badlali besihlangu badimisele kakhulu basadlala khona ku-Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup lebeyidlalelwa khona eNingizimu Afrika.
Isihlangu semnikade siphumile endzabeni ye-COSAFA kulandzela ukuthi emidlalweni lemithathu leseyidlalile sikhale phansi kumbili yawo sancoba munye. Isihlangu sakhala phansi kuBotswana ngeligoli linye ecansini emidlalweni wekucala sabuya sashaya iNamibia ngalamabili kulinye. Siphindze sakhala phansi kuNingizimu Afrika ngalamabili kulinye emidlalweni lophocelele ukuthi leli qembu sale lipakisha libheke ekhaya. Nakhatha lokho lelikhethelo luhlulekile ukuchubekela embili. Umceceshi Dominic Gunene uthi ukubonile kukhula kwalo lelikhethelo lisadlala lomcuzelwano.
We observed growth in the team, looking at the way that we didn't play well in our first game. But in the second game we did well. And I think today we played well, except for allowing those goals. Otherwise, in terms of performance, I was impressed. I think we observed, like I mentioned, we observed growth. So we need to take the positives and deal with the negatives.
Lokuphuma kwalo ke lelikhethelo sekutaqhubekisela umlando lomubi ukuthi selokulaqala kudlala endzabeni ye-COSAFA eminyakeni lengama-22 alizange selifike kumancama lendzebe kanti ke selehlukeleke kwesikhombisa kushaya eNingizimu Afrika. Lobikela umsakazo we-Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngiphathiswa Msibi ePrincess Makoko eThekwini eNingizimu Afrika.
Betingako tindzaba talapha ekhaya lesikuphathele tona lomhla ekuseni sathe isimo selitulu masibuya lungelele sits down with Mandla Lukhele bakhulumisa ke i-Epilepsy Education Fund.
Eswatini Lifestyle is all about inspiration, drive, and swag. Eswatini Lifestyle is informative and fun while covering all aspects of life, be it people, places, and trends in the kingdom of Eswatini. We got you covered. The focus is on the quality of life. Eswatini Lifestyle will spark your interest. Catch Eswatini Lifestyle every Friday at 7:30 p.m. on Eswatini TV, Sibugo Semaswati.
Welcome back. Kusile now lasanza kusivulela ehlelweni Kusile Breakfast Show. We had mentioned earlier ukuthi sidaba sikhulumisana la communications lo Eswatini Epilepsy Organization. Itolo ke basukumise sikhwama lesibitwa ngekuthi imbusomeni mahlalela education charity fund in memory of former director yena mbusomeni imahlalela. Lesikhwama ke lesita benefit abantwana labaphila nesimo nje se-epilepsy lapha ekhaya eSwatini. Dokumleke ukuthi epilepsy sifo lesingekho burden lapha eSwatini kuphela ke phanje emhlabeni wonke especially emaveni lase-Africa. And according to the Global Burden of Disease (GBD) yeminyaka 2013, the annual mortality rate per 100,000 people from epilepsy in Eswatini has increased by 52.2% since 1990, which is an average of 2.3% a year. And also in 2013, the annual mortality rate was 8.3% per 100,000 people. I'm joined by Mandisa Lukhele from the Eswatini Epilepsy Organization to shed more light on these numbers. Mandisa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Before we get into the charity fund, sifuna kuva nje the status of the epilepsy lapha eSwatini. I know that sensemende kamadima kuzama to share awareness, to raise awareness rather ngaso sifo se-epilepsy, because I think it's one of the conditions nje mhlambe lesingathi bamva abasadi kakhulu abasithatheli etuli because khulunywa ngaso kakhulu. Sifuna kuva nje ukuthi what strides have been there imitamo leseyendiwe nge-epilepsy nibambisene nohulumende kuzama nje kwenzisa lwati nge-epilepsy.
Okay. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me this morning. What I can say in commenting on the state of the epilepsy in the country, I would definitely say it's a condition that is riddled by many misconceptions, by many ideas which are not exactly accurate. And I think that largely contributes to the discrimination, the sidelining that is faced by the epilepsy population in the country. So definitely in terms of making strides to circumvent those challenges, as the Eswatini Epilepsy Organization, a non-profit organization that is mandated by the Ministry of Health, that is government, to directly address all things epilepsy related in the country. Awareness raising, lobbying, and advocacy is a really large part of our mission statement. That is to try to minimize some of the discrimination and the sidelining that is faced by people with epilepsy. Very recently, we just concluded regional epilepsy workshop trainings in the country. So we had a total of 4 workshop trainings in the country, 1 in each region, which were for healthcare workers, that is doctors and nurses, particularly those that deal with psychiatric patients, because people who are on epilepsy medication, usually they fall under the psychiatric sector in health. So we had those trainings in partnership with the Ministry of Health, of course, and the Taiwan Healthcare Improvement Project. So very soon we're going to be having a awards certification ceremony for those healthcare workers. I believe it's about 250 in total, doctors and nurses which were trained on epilepsy, so that the doctors and nurses themselves are also better equipped to assist and treat people with epilepsy. Because one thing that we also found is that there's a great gap in knowledge, so we tried to equip and capacitate those healthcare workers so that if they are able to better treat people with epilepsy, then they will face less discrimination, as people are more aware of how to help their family members and friends and community members at large with dealing with the with the condition. And then we also continue with our initiative of epilepsy in the schools and in workplaces, whereby we try to educate people, because really it's education that's the key thing. Yes.
I want us to talk about mortality rates. I think I did mention on my intro, but according to the Global Burden of Disease report here, 2013, there was an increased mortality rate per 100,000 people since 1990. How is the situation like?
Okay, well, when it comes to statistics, really the statistics in the country, they're not great. So most of the statistics that we have on health, we do rely mostly on those studies done by the United Nations or specifically the World Health Organization, that is WHO. So definitely statistics, they have been on the rise since 1990, as you mentioned earlier, but we are seeing a gradual decrease as well, because as the different, for example, the World Health Organization and the Ministry of Health in the country, as we continue to make greater strides to educate people, it definitely does do a lot to help to sort of decrease the mortality rate and those sorts of statistics in the country on epilepsy. Cindy Sobembe, who was present at the launch of the Mbuso Muni Mahlalela Education Charity Fund yesterday at Somjalose High School, she actually mentioned, she's a psychiatric nurse, so she actually mentioned in her remarks that because they, as healthcare workers, they deal directly with epilepsy patients, they're seeing a decrease in the use of inappropriate treatment measures. For example, when someone is having a seizure or an epileptic attack, it was a common practice to place maybe an object in their mouths to prevent them from biting their tongue, which for most people, I think when they think about it, they think it makes sense, but it's actually a very harmful practice. So she did comment as a psychiatric nurse that they're seeing a decrease in those sorts of practices. And that really helps to increase the health of people with epilepsy and decrease mortality statistics such as that.
Speaking of treatment, Mandisa, I was going through your website and I came across the patron's Prince Banzili's message. I think he mentioned something about a treatment gap of being 75% in Africa as a whole. So how much access do epileptic people have to treatment in Eswatini, and medication?
When it comes to treatment in the country, I would say most of the hospitals and clinics in the country, they are definitely well equipped. I wouldn't say well equipped. I think that maybe that's something that maybe the Ministry of Health could comment better on. But as we work with the Ministry of Health and we work with hospitals and clinics, they do have the medication, some of the medication in the hospital. And if they don't have the medication in the hospitals and clinics, then they definitely provide the patients with prescriptions to seek the medication from pharmacies, etc. but there is, because when it comes to epilepsy medication, it's very common for one epilepsy patient to be on multiple times of medication, and then what differs is the dosages of those different medications, those different pills. So what is really key is that they have the different medication and the different dosages, etc. So it really depends on what medication the person is on, the patient is on specifically, and it's really a matter of working together with the nurses and doctors in terms of fine-tuning that person's medication and dosages to find the right medication that works for that individual.
Okay, let's talk about challenges, challenges that epileptic people face in the country. Particularly, I'd like to talk about learners, pupils at schools. Okay. What kind of challenges do they face on a daily basis?
I would say the most glaring challenge would definitely be the discrimination. I would say, especially with young people, pupils, school-going youths, I think I don't know what it is, but they tend to be very unkind towards one another if one of their own has a certain condition, a certain health condition. You find that they might make fun of this pupil when really they should be doing the opposite. They should be encouraging and embracing this individual. So I would say the most glaring challenge that they face, that is youths or school-going children with epilepsy, it will be the discrimination. But then it is also disturbances in learning as well, because while it is not all people with epilepsy, it is some people with epilepsy that face intellectual disabilities which might affect their learning acumen. So I think those two are definitely the most glaring challenges, the discrimination that they may face because of their condition, if they faint, or if they have their seizures in front of their peers, and then also the possible intellectual challenges.
So is it the same with adults as well? The discrimination and the fainting and all that? Yes,
I would say it's the same with adults as well. I was just speaking directly on the learners because that's who the fund is looking at specifically, and where the question was directed. But it is also the same with adults, because even with adults in the workplace, they might have a seizure in the workplace, and if you find that they're working with other individuals who are not as knowledgeable on the condition, then that creates a ground for them to be unkind towards that co-worker or colleague in the workplace.
Right. So can you tell by just physically looking at somebody that they have epilepsy, with their physical appearance?
I would say no. I would say no. I think maybe perhaps someone might look at a person and tell that they have epilepsy because maybe they look a little bit different physically wise. But I would say that might be because of a term that we call comorbidities, whereby epilepsy as a neurological condition usually coexists with other conditions, with other neurological conditions, whether it be autism, whether it be cerebral palsy. So you really can't just look at a person and determine that conclusively that they have epilepsy. Yes.
Right, so let's talk about the fund, the Mbusomeni Mahlalela Education Charity Fund. Why this name, and how many learners are going to benefit from it?
Okay, well, the Mbusomeni Mahlalela Education Charity Fund, in addressing the name, Mr. Mbusomeni Mahlalela was the founder and former national director of the Eswatini Epilepsy Organization. He passed away, he unfortunately passed away in August of 2021. And so thereafter, the Eswatini Epilepsy Organization, in honoring his legacy, decided to make the anniversary of his birth, which was the 12th of July, yesterday's date, on which we launched the fund. We decided to make the 12th of July Mbusomeni Mahlalela Day, whereby we undertake various awareness-raising initiatives and any initiatives that serve the mandate of Eswatini Epilepsy Organization. And so specifically on yesterday's Mbusomeni Mahlalela Day, we chose to launch the Mbusomeni Mahlalela Education Fund, Education Charity Fund. Again, the name also honors his legacy in being a founder and also being an individual who had epilepsy himself.
So how many learners are going to benefit from the fund annually, and what is the duration?
Okay, well, the fund, it's as we're launching it yesterday, it definitely stands to be up for growth. It doesn't have, I would say, an expiration date. It's just a fund. It's going to exist as one of the ongoing programs of the Eswatini Epilepsy Organization. It's going to stand to benefit all school-going youths with epilepsy. But for now, for a start, definitely I would say we are more focused on those who are high school learning students, because we find that those who are in higher learning institutions or vocational colleges and schools, we tend to look at it in terms of, well, at least they have that high school certificate. So definitely also one important factor of the Mbuso Muni Mahlalele Education Charity Fund is that it is going to serve those who are most in need, who have epilepsy, who are most in need of assistance with pursuing their educational goals. Because you could find that someone has epilepsy, but they are able to educate themselves, to put themselves through school. So definitely it's just about making up for the gap in the challenges that youths with epilepsy face in pursuing their education and try to level the playing field, so to speak.
Okay, so we're already laba benefits that's already being funded through this fund. Yeah?
Yes. While we were officially launching the fund yesterday, it is in a way largely an initiative that Eswatini Epilepsy Organization had in terms of its impact mitigation mandate, because we have 7 key strategic focus areas, and so impact mitigation is one of those key strategic focus areas. So helping people with epilepsy in pursuing their education is a way of impact mitigation. And so far we had identified 2 high school going students who are beneficiaries of the Eswatini Epilepsy Organization's initiative to assist school going youths with paying school fees. But it's not only just for paying school fees. We also like to assist with whatever learning materials that the individual may need, whether it be school uniform or stationery, books, etc.
Okay, so but it's not like they apply or...
There's definitely going to be an application. As we were officially launching yesterday, we also did mention that there's going to be a call for applications every September of every year, whereby there'll be a call for applications, and individuals who need assistance with education may apply to the fund that way.
All right, so for more information, I think they can also contact you guys. They can go through your social media pages in social media.
Yes, absolutely. We are available on Facebook at Eswatini Epilepsy Organization and on Twitter at Swazi Epilepsy. And then also, of course, you can call us at 78132099.
All right, thanks so much, Mandi Sasma Kolo. Kusi chazela njengayo le fund ukuthi sebenza kanjani, so vedile manise ukuthi already seba identify 2 learners that will benefit from the Mbuso Muni Mahlalele Charity Education Fund, which was officially launched yesterday. Let's take a break. Nasibuya sithatha traffic update.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo even. Kulapho kukuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala eSwatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwembahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile, emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sivele sihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa eMbube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe. nene bekunene kusetandleni tesive ukuthi imimango ingagcini kukampunzi edla emini sive sakangwane nebantu labakhethe kuhlala Eswatini abaphila ngekukhululeka nekuthi kubethe lo nyathelo lilungelo lalabanye egameni lekufuna lilungelo lakhe. Sive asikhumbule ukuthi emaphoyisa bomake nabobabe labatinikele kwenta siqiniseko ukuthi wonke umuntu lonembahla yakhe ingacekelwa phansi ngulomunye. Wonke umuntu akahlale ngekuthula nangaphandle kokwesaba tindwe letingatiwa. Emaphoyisa ngekulandzela nekushiqilela umthetho athi into yomuntu ayibe ngeyakhe umuntu. Sive asijinge siwabambise siphinde siwasekele emaphoyisa emsebentini wawo. Kude emalungelo aso sive osomabhizinisi kanye nebantu labasebentako anganyatheleki. Khona-ke imimango itawukwakha nemakhaya akhulise bantwana ngaso sandla lesiya emlonyeni. Emaphoyisa naso sive abasebente ngebudlelwane nangekubambisana kulwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco.
Welcome back. Sitawubuka simo semgwaco na Constable Ntombenhle lo mhla ekseni asekuvusela umntwana okhambeka kanjani lo mhla emigwacweni.
Ngikuvusele eMagagula, ngivusele naye umlaleli umbukeli wemsakato. Imigwaco elivela kangwane sesihlolile. Imigwaco leminengi iyahambeka ikhona leyo netinyabeto. Kepha-ke singathanza ukuthi umshayeli noma loyo osebenzisa umgwaco ende siqiniseko ukuthi uyatilandzela leto timpawu letibekiwe lapho kuze ukuthi aphephe asawusebenzisa umgwaco. Emadolobha elive-ke omane tiba netemgwaco tiyasebenta tonke ngalokufanele kanti nemigwaco lengenela kuwo lamadolobha iyahambeka ngaphandle nje kwelidolobha lelikhulu laseMbabane la khona imigwaco noma-ke titaladi letinengi tilungiswa letinye tato tivaliwe lokufaka ekhathi nje Makhosikosi Road. Lo mgwaco loyo usuka lapha kuletibane temgwaco tase-engine uyawufika kuto leta tasemashayineni. Usuka-ke emashayineni uyawufika khona lapha e-Central Bank kule traffic circle lapho umzila lota ngakhona ka-engine lesitaladi leso sivaliwe. Lokwenta ukuthi timotolo tiphambane kule mvila lobheka emashayineni na usuka khona ka-engine. Sithi bashayeli abanakisise khona lapho basawusebenzisa umgwaco. Lesinye-ke sitaladi khona ekhathi edolobheni lesine kuphazamiseka noma-ke lesivaliwe umsakato street sesisuka lapha kuletibane temgwaco lesilapha emsakatweni kuyawufika lapha eSwazi Court nakhona lapho lo mgwaco loyo uvalwe wonke. Lomunye-ke lophazamisekako nguye Zwide Street lokusuka lapha egedeni eCTA kuvaliwe kuyawufika khona eSwazi Court. Lokwenta ukuthi lapho timotolo letifanele sitingene letinye ama-residents khona lapho noma-ke letiya khona eSwazi Court kuphela. Lesingakuqaphelisa-ke kubo bashayeli basasebenzisa lo msakato street lesitaladi leso sihambisa timoto letibheka khona kuboThembelihle nato tonke tindzawo letingemaciniselo. Sithi nje bashayeli abente isiqiniseko nabafuna kubheka kuboThembelihle ukuthi abasebenzise tibane temgwaco noma-ke umgwaco longugwamile street kuze ukuthi bahambe ngekuphepha bangabambeleleki ngoba lo mgwaco loyo unema one way la yenda kwekuthi bashayeli bangasakhoni ukuthi basheshe bakhone kuhamba bafike lapho bafuna kufika khona bese sekudinga ukuthi bajike bete khona kuleti bane temgwaco letilapha eceleni kwase-Building Society bakhuphuke ngaye eGwamile Street kuze ukuthi bakhone kufika lapho bafuna kufika khona. Sithi nje bangabambeleleki abavele nje babambe eGwamile Street nabafuna kubheka koThembelihle kuze ukuthi bakhone ukusebenzisa kahle umgwaco. Imigwaco lemikhulu-ke elive nayo ihloliwe. Umgwaco losuka khona ehekeni laseNgwenya uye khona kaManzini lofaka ekhathi naye eMalagwane uyahambeka kude sikinyabeto lesikhona nyalo ekseni. Leminye imigwaco lesihlolile ngemigwaco lelapha endasi eshiselweni umgwaco losuka khona eNkwene ubheke khona kaHlathi kusuka lapha na uqeda nje mehlwabovu kule dual carriage ukhuphuka lapha kulamanyukela. Lo mgwaco loyo uyakhiwa nawo lokwenta ukuthi kuletinye tindzawo ukugubuliwe sithi nje bashayeli abanake khona lapho basahamba kungasiwo wona lo wodwana ke nawuqhubeka ngawo usuka lapha emathendele kujunction lebheka khona emathendele kuyafika lapha kuleli sonto lema Muslim nakhona lapho ugugubuliwe lo mgwaqo sithi nje bashayeli la ugugubulwe khona kunebungozi lobukhulu kakhulu nangabe umshayeli ahamba ngelitubane lelisetulu sithi nje impawu lesibekiwe lapho asisilandzele silinciphise litubane kuze futhi siphephe ngale kwaloko Thombeni naye umlaleli umbukeli imigwaqo elivela kangwane iyahambeka ngaphandle kwaleli esenkishito tisikabedo ngaba kusela yena umbukeli usuku loluhle naloluphephile basetha usebenzisa yona imigwaqo elivela kangwane.
It's before 7 asibahleli temakethe sibuye netindzaba tesingisi.
Love.
Hey,
So you have a woman who can on social media.
colleagues, Sam, I've put parental control on their devices.
Okay. How? What's wrong, Manchester? And you are so angry. Let's report this account.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Good morning and welcome back. This is the news. His Majesty King Mswati III has summoned Machaha from the Shiselweni region to convene at Mbangweni royal residence to embark on a royal duty. This was revealed by Manyathela Dlamini on behalf of the Shiselweni Indvuna Mkhokheli Tsikati during an announcement that was delivered at Lusisni royal residence.
Lalela tinhlaba letiphume enkosini uthoka ndaba emabutho ishiselo yonke ayiphelele lapha esigodlweni emphangweni ngemgcibelo mhla 15 uyawutsingela isondvo mhla 16 uyawusiyaqala ke lo msebenzi wamakhosi lobalulekena kangaka nanga ke lamabutho inganyeti Inyatsi, umgadlela, umkhololo, usho njalo ngomswazi omnyama kulabalithuli, lodunga ndaba sembelebele lodunga ndaba semambondweni, ayethe,
The Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini was amongst other African heads of states and governments during the official opening of the US-Africa Summit that is already underway in Botswana. The Prime Minister is representing His Majesty King Mswati III.
The Prime Minister of Eswatini, Cleopas Dlamini, President of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, President of Mozambique, Filipe Nyusi, President of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum, Vice President of Namibia, Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, and the Prime Minister of Lesotho, Sam Matekane, were received by President of Botswana, Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, before the commencement of today's official business. The 15th US-Africa Business Summit was officially opened by Botswana's President Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, who said this year's summit builds on last year's US-Africa Leaders Summit, which was hosted by US President Joe Biden. President Masisi says this year's theme, which is enhancing Africa's value in global value chain, clearly recognizes that there are fundamental gaps between the global south and the north.
African heads of state, US and African government officials, top CEOs and senior business executives spanning major sectors that are critical to the continent's development, including infrastructure, ICT, health, energy, mining, and creative industries. This year's summit will also be remembered for strong participation by African leaders whose presence builds on the solid foundations laid by the 2022 US Africa Leaders Summit hosted by His Excellency President Joe Biden of the United States of America. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, the theme, Enhancing Africa's Value in Global Value Chains, is a profound recognition that there are fundamental gaps between the global south and the north in terms of Africa's stake in value chains and integration. Consequently, this summit is a step forward as we forge together towards creating a strong, balanced, transparent, and inclusive trading system that I wish to recognize and commend African leaders for the formation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCTA. Once fully operational, the AFCTA will build and strengthen regional integration as well as boost intra-Africa trade, thus increasing value-added production, trade across all valuable sectors of the continental economy, and attaining the vision of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want.
The US-Africa Business Summit continues on Thursday. Bongan Matsebula reporting for Eswatini TV News at the Royal Area Conference Center, Tlokweng, Botswana.
Members of the 11th Parliament have applauded His Majesty King Mswati III for assuring Amaswati that the future of his kingdom is still brighter than ever. The former legislators were reacting to His Majesty's speech that he delivered at Lutsitsini during Sibaya on Tuesday.
His Majesty addressed the nation at the Lutsitsini Keklipaya yesterday. His Majesty touched on several developmental issues when he was dissolving the 11th Parliament. His Majesty gave Emaswati the assurance that after the national elections, Emaswati will converge at Lutsitsini to discuss how to take this country forward. Some members of the 11th Parliament have applauded His Majesty for touching on this subject, the dialogue subject in this country.
Ishaya inhloko ngekuthinta indzaba ye-dialogue ngoba vele bese kuyindzaba lokubonakala ukuthi Emaswati asamehlwana ngayo nalabo abangaphandle bese baqala kusola ngayo kokuthi silive lenjani lelingakhulumisani. Siyabonga ke kunene ukuthi ayifake ngalendlela futhi lokukhuluma kwakhe ukhuluma ukuthi dilungiseleleni ngoba sowushido nokuthi itawuba khona nini.
Emva kokube konke sekwendekile njengoba nje kuyolikhethweni live litawube seliyathola lithuba lekuthi ilibite inkosi litokhuluma njengoba ishito yenkosi ukuthi kukhuluma kutawube kungaqali kukhuluma kusemlandweni weMaswati. eMaswati abevela khuluma lapha nakufika tikhazi tekuthi kakukhulunywe iphasi lenkosi ukuthi bekune covid lesiyadiwo sonke ukuthi iyavala kuhlangana kwebantu kungaleso sizathu ke lokuthi bekusolo kungendeki kodwa ke yasho ukuthi nasesifikile isikhathi sokuthi umkhuhlane songazi usikhweshile itasibita sive lokho sikubheke ngemehlo labovu.
His Majesty implored the nation to come out in their numbers to vote in the national elections that are scheduled for the 29th of September 2023. His Majesty says women, the youth, and those from the disabled community have a role to play in taking this country forward in the next 5 years. Former Senator Sibongile Ndlela Similane and former Kwaluseni Member of Parliament Sibusiso Mapani Dlamini have also applauded His Majesty for encouraging Emaswati to go out and vote in their numbers.
Ijajiso ukuthi ingonyama ithasi yeni likhethweni
thina bomake nathi siparticipate sibonakale silingisa lokushiwo ngumhlaba ukuthi kube bomake babe bakhona.
eMaswati avile ukuthi upassionate kangakanani inkosi yethu about ukuthi eMaswati ayokhetha freely akhethe bantu labafunako kusiphethe kahle kakhulu thina siMaswati kukuva lokho kuqhamuka kumlomo longacalimanga.
Having received a message from above, His Majesty then beseeched eMaswati to go out and get men and women and young people of integrity who are going to assist His Majesty in building this country in the next 5 years. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Linton Gule with Skumbuzo Dlamini, Ezulwini.
Emaswati have said they will heed His Majesty the King Mswati III's call of voting for noble people into Parliament as well as those with disabilities. The public was reacting to His Majesty's speech during Sibaya on Tuesday.
Jabule kakhulu anyway sabona ukuthi ingonyama yethu isicabangela lokuhle ngaso sonke isikhathi and umthandazo wayo uthi delukhetho lolutaba khona nyalo ufuna libe likhetho loluhle.
Some of the members of the public say the speech by His Majesty King Mswati III indicated that the king cares for his people. Others mentioned that the king's remarks was on point and shows direction. Some others urged Mswati to heed to the directive by His Majesty's speech.
So siyajabula ukuthi inkosi isifakile nathi ukuthi ekukhetheni kuyaphambili sicela ukuthi bangasali laba nama special needs nabo basiba involve.
Some also mentioned that it was inspiring that the king's speech touched on the need to elect disabled people during the ongoing national elections.
Ubonga kakhulu nje naseMaswatini ukuthi asichubeke sikwende lokho ngoba vele kuyimvo lekhona siphila ngayo.
The Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs has officially opened the Hoho Arts Centre in Pikes Peak. The minister said the centre will be of great help to young people with different skills in the arts sector. He said this will enable the youth to empower themselves and sell their craft through the use of various social media platforms. Bulunga added that government will ensure that the arts centre is provided with computers and internet to meet the needs of young people.
In a move to help young people in the arts industry to create sustainable income, the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs has established arts centers in the 4 regions. Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Bulunga says, like the government, they are committed in ensuring decentralization of services.
Njengoba sathi ukuthi singulumende wetinkhundla and sihambisa imbili indzaba ye decentralization ukuthi uhulumende akaye kubantu. Lusito loluqhamuka kuhulumende luye kubantu. Nathi ke silitiko sithatha iservice ye-arts and culture siyisonzeta kiwo ema-artists nema-creatives ngoba kusikala ama-artists kuphela labahlabelako but bonke laba ku-creative industry ukuthi kube sedvutane nabo. Lokhu ke indlela uhulumende lazama ukuthi aba-empowerishe abantu labasha ukuthi kuba createle emathuba.
Wandile Ndlovu, who is affectionately known as M-Nation, said the launch of the Arts Centre will greatly improve and promote the art industry.
The first time I speak isiba lento lenhle kangaka. Sipiki besolo ke silibandla seyouth sidlubulunzeka sithi veta ngenkani. Noma bathi basivalela lapha kephana nje. Hawu sithi vetile ngenkani sagcina sibonakele. Sibonga kakhulu.
For now, the art centers are in the Lubunjeni and Hoho regions, and they are yet to be established in the Shiselweni and Manzini regions. Reporting for Eswatini TV News is Bongos Makakula at Peacepeak.
The First National Bank has sponsored this year's trade fair with 400,000 Malangeni. West Bank also contributed with a car to the value of 200,000 Malangeni. The sponsorship took place at Mavuso Trade Center in Manzini.
The First National Bank has sponsored this year's Eswatini International Trade Fair with 400,000 Malangeni. The West Bank has supported with 200,000 for a vehicle to be used. Goseng Pilam Konda says they saw the need to partner with APA in this year's trade fair.
We are hopeful that even this year's prize will add great value to the life of the winner.
At West Bank, we understand the significance of mobility, not only for individuals, but also for small businesses.
Zethu Dlamini, the Chief Marketing Officer at FNB, made the other donation.
We do acknowledge what you are doing, and as FNB, our door will always be open, because we believe that what we are doing or what you are doing and what we are doing somehow aligns, because essentially what we do try to do is for the betterment of Eswatini, for the betterment of the businesses Eswatini as well.
The trade fair will start on the 1st till the 10th of September this year and will be divided into stages including business seminars, entrepreneurship and sporting courts, amongst others. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Kiani Msibi with Smova Shongwe and Sindiswa Zwane, Manzini.
The Mbusumeni Mahlalela Education Charity Fund has been officially launched. The fund will assist epileptic children in school fees, amongst other things. The fund was launched at Somjalose High School, Ezulwini.
The director of Epilepsy, Eswatini, Abraham Njalinjali, says epileptic children are deprived of education because of their condition and are often left behind. He says the fund will assist pay for school fees, amongst other needs.
We are launching this fund today, which will take care of education needs for children with epilepsy, but not all of them due to financial constraints. As we are here, we already have 2 children that we are already paying for, and we hope that the number will be increasing year by year as donors and other supporters join the party.
Kusile, the inspector and the Minister of Education applauded this fund and thanked the Mahlalela family, as this will go a long way.
The fund is going to assist to ensure that they attend school, but also working together with the association, we hope we will strengthen, programs that will ensure that when they have missed out of school, they do get remediation. We are able to retain them in school and they complete like any other child.
Somjalose High School head teacher Makanza Mamba says they deal with cases of epilepsy on a daily basis. Some learners have no fees and some do not even reach up to Form 5.
Labo bantwana labo siyabonga ukuthi sebatawunakekeleka babhadaleleke kanti vele bese bavele babhadaleleka sinayo nje umntwana lobhadalelwa ngiso lesikhwama.
This is done in partnership with the Mahlalela family, who have agreed to assist in honor of the late Mbusomuni Mahlalela. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kiani Msibi with Smova Shongwe and Sindiswa Zwane, Ezulwini.
The Crown has closed its case in leading evidence during the murder trial of businessman Jomo Khumalo, who was a member of the Eswatini Interstate Transport Association, who used to transport hawkers to neighboring countries. When closing its case, the Crown recalled its witness Ntokozo Mgomezulu, who is employed by MTN Eswatini.
The Crown's witness, Ntokozo Mgomezulu, explained to the court about calls made between cell phone numbers 76502188 and 76037324, as well as 76021388. The cell phone number 76037324 allegedly belonged to the accused person Maxwell Ngambule, while 76665817 allegedly belonged to accused person Senzo Stole, who was turned a state witness. The Crown wanted the witness to clarify his evidence, as the accused person Maxwell Ngambule said it was not true that he left the country for South Africa. Ngambule said his gadget was all the time connected to MTN Eswatini tower called Mbabane SBIS. The Crown witness in defense pointed out that the accused person's cell phone numbers calls were forwarded to the South African number 0027820. 202. He said this was because the accused person roamed when leaving the country. The accused person's legal representative, Advocate Lucas Mazia, raised concerns to the effect that the witness's evidence was not similar to his affidavit. High Court Judge Ticheme Dlamini advised the defense that it may not be necessary to cross-examine the witness, as he was just giving clarity to his previous evidence, which was led in court. The defense said it was yet to determine the way forward on the matter on Section 1744 of the Criminal Procedure and Evidence Act. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, High Court.
Cooperatives in Eswatini now have over 90,000 members. This has been said by the president of the National Cooperatives Federation of Eswatini, Sfiso Mhlongo, when announcing the Cooperatives Day, which shall be held on the 27th of this month at Mavuso Trade and Exhibition Center in Manzini.
Cooperatives play a major role in the country's economy as they have an asset base estimated at 3 billion emalangeni, as stated by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade. To attain more members and educate the public more about the benefits of being a member of one, the National Cooperatives Federation of Eswatini has announced that on the 27th of this month, there will be a Cooperatives Day at Mavuso Trade and Exhibition Center.
The cooperative sector in the country will be celebrating its 2023 Cooperative Day at the Mavuso Trade Center on the 27th of July 2023, starting at 800 hours. Tinhlangano telibanjiswano ke la kaNgwane tiyamenywa tonke kuthi tibe khona kulombuthano la titawufike khona titshengise sive ukuthi yini lesikwendako ngapha ama services lawendako kulamanye ama cooperative nasesive nje sonke at large. The main aim yalombuthano ukuthi into esiqiniseko ukuthi lolwati nama experiences ema cooperative asherisheka kubo bonke labakhona to improve the livelihood and the living standard for all citizens of Eswatini.
According to the Ministry of Commerce, Eswatini has about 1,200 cooperatives. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla, Nosipho Nzibande, and Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
The Eswatini national team coach Dominic Kunene says even though his team has crashed out of the COSAFA Cup, he has seen some improvement in the squad. Kunene was speaking after the defeat against South Africa that saw them exiting the tournament.
Slangs Mnigad has crashed out of the COSAFA Cup after suffering defeat against South Africa. The team started badly against Botswana in the first game, where they lost by a single goal to none. They followed that with a spirited showing when they beat Namibia by 2-1. In the last game of the group stages, they suffered another defeat in the hands of South Africa by 2-1. Speaking after the game, the head coach, Dominic Kunene, highlighted that even though they are out, there were improvements within the squad.
We observed growth in the team, looking at the way that we didn't play well in our first game. But in the second game, we did well. And I think today we played well, except for allowing those goals. Otherwise, in terms of performance, I was impressed. I think we observed, like I mentioned, we observed growth. So we need to take the positives and deal with the negatives.
The team crashing out in the group stages, they have extended the unwanted record of failing to reach the COSAFA Cup finals in its 22 years of existence, and also have failed to beat South Africa in 6 outings in this tournament. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizo Msibi, Princess Makoko Stadium, Durban, South Africa.
It's 20 minutes after 7. We've come to the end of our English bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. You know the vibes, it's the beat down. The time is 8 p.m. It's time for you to relax, sit back, relax, and enjoy the music videos that I got for you.
Eswatini Lifestyle is all about inspiration, drive, and swag. Eswatini Lifestyle is informative and fun while covering all aspects of life, be it people, places, and trends in the kingdom of Eswatini. We got you covered. The focus is on the quality of life. Eswatini Lifestyle will spark your interest. Catch Eswatini Lifestyle every Friday at 7:30 p.m. on Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswana.
Right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Siyakuvusela nalo sandza kusivulela sisabe uthi sikhulumisane nalabasuka ka micro projects sibuka nje imisebenzi yabo lasebayendile lapha eveni in the last 5 years, and also sibe ukuthi sikhulumisana nalaba kasuka ka IDCE kanti ke sisamele labo sesindlalele nje na iclip lesuka ka International Monetary Fund lekhuluma nge-economic growth.
Hey there. Welcome to the latest episode of Ask an Economist. I'm Joyce Wong from the IMF, and in this series, we take all your questions about thorny economic issues, we break them down, and we give you straight answers, all without the fancy academic speak. So with that, let's get started. Today, we'll be tackling questions about economic growth. What is it? Why is it important? And how is it measured? What is economic growth? To put it simply, economic growth is the total increase in the value of all the goods and services that society produces. So, if we say the economy grew by X% in a year, we are looking at how much more goods, like bread and cars, and services like restaurant meals and hotel stays that an economy produces each year compared to last. To make this concrete, imagine an economy that only produces cars. In the first year, they produced 1,000 cars, while in the second year, they produced 1,050. The real GDP growth in the second year would then be 5%, the 50 extra cars. Growth can also be negative. If the economy produced 900 cars in the second year, you would have had a negative growth, a 10% decline. Why does economic growth matter? Economic growth is important because more production usually means more jobs, higher incomes, and less poverty. It's not just you can buy more stuff. Growth can lead to bigger investments in businesses, stronger social protection, and more financial security for all citizens, all of which in turn can lead to better living standards. Small changes in economic growth can lead to massive changes in living standards over time. Let's consider countries A and B. Every year, country A grows by 1 percentage point faster than country B. In 70 years, the living standard in country A would be about twice that of country B. How is economic growth measured? Growth is measured by changes in the gross domestic product, or GDP. So one way is to simply add all of the market values of all the goods and services produced in the economy in a year. That way, I can calculate something called the nominal GDP. If I see that nominal GDP is growing 10% year on year, well, that's useful. But if all the prices in the economy have increased by 10%, all I'm really seeing is inflation. This is why we also calculate something called real GDP, which means GDP adjusted for inflation. If the nominal GDP grows by 10% and inflation is around 5%, then real GDP growth is 5%. Now, it's important to point out, though, that GDP is not a measure of accumulated wealth. An economy can be poor, but it can have high rates of GDP growth. Also, GDP does not tell us anything about how welfare is distributed. The economy may have produced 1,000 cars, but they could have all been bought by one person, while the rest got nothing. Lastly, GDP does not reflect economic realities, such as environmental costs. For example, Focusing on growth in the number of cars does not account for environmental damage associated with all of those extra cars. What can governments do to increase economic growth? A government can do a variety of things to boost economic growth. For example, it can increase spending or lower taxes. Central banks can also lower interest rates to make it cheaper to borrow or invest, which can help boost spending in the short term. But all of this is far from simple, because higher government spending and lower taxes could also create unsustainable debts. And lower interest rates can lead to higher inflation. This could all lead to lower, not higher economic growth in the long run. Going back to our car economy, focusing on just producing more cars at all costs may not necessarily be the best economic strategy overall. To generate long-term, inclusive, and sustainable growth, governments need to go beyond short-term spending and focus on strengthening their institutions and consistently delivering basic services for their citizens, like education, health, and infrastructure. With all of these foundations, economic growth can then support inclusion by creating jobs, lifting living standards, and most importantly, ensuring opportunities for all. That's all we have time for today. But be sure to continue to send us your questions to askaneconomist@imf.org, and we'll see you the next time.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Hey yo, this is DJ Cybers.
What's up guys, King J's here.
My name is Tripo Intellectual.
What's up everybody, my name is SK.
Hey guys, this is your girl Z.
This weekend Eswatini has been such an amazing show. For all the years they've always supported all the local talent and all the local shows.
Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Fridays.
It's one of the best entertainment shows Eswatini.
So guys, you know what? This is the best show to have. Like, if you watch Swazi TV and you're a person who actually enjoys watching like musical shows that have a lot of content, that have good stuff, This Weekend Eswatini is your show.
For all the good vibes, all the good energy, make sure you tune in to This Weekend Eswatini every Friday from 5:30 to 6:30. I'll say it again, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m.
A 1-hour fun-filled train of entertainment. We are taking you from 5:30 all the way to 6:30 every Friday, live on Eswatini TV.
And yes, of course, we are your #1 entertainment show in the kingdom of Eswatini. But you can interact with us on our social media platforms. We are at This Weekend Eswatini on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Lalela Tina will definitely get back to you. This is your official weekend party starter.
I don't wanna go around singing songs that people don't want.
Minutes after 7, we welcome Skumbuzo Dlamini from Micro Projects. He is a civil engineer. Kusikhulumisa nje ngeconstruction yemigwaqo kanye nema-foot bridges imisebenzi ke nvutfuko lesinjetwa liphiko lwahulumende i-Micro Projects kuthuthukisa live la kaNgwane. Sikwamukele Nkosi ehlelweni kunjani mfekuseni?
Siphele kakhulu, sihlushwa amakhata nje kuphela.
Yeah, amakhata amadima Nkosi. Dlamini okunene silo semhlaba sithena sibhodla esibayeni one of the things like khulume as my proud moments for Eswatini kube yimigwaqo. The construction of imigwaqo, our road network, it's something that he hailed at Tseni. It has developed at such a good pace. Siyatkelwe ukuthi niliphiko lwahulumende nabekelwa imisebenzi lefana nalena. Ngiyafuna ukuthi sisaqala nje lenkulumo sikhulume ngayo le migwaqo njengoba phela ingonyama ibhodlile vele yayikhulumisa nje indaba yemigwaqo ukuthi mihle kakhulu. Engabe nisachuba le misebenzi yemigwaqo, I believe in the last 5 years you've done quite a lot. I think ngimbonile baba Mbingi wakhuluma nzabentolo ukuthi over 800 million spent on developmental projects through micro projects. Engabe emigwaqweni nisebenze kanjani vele?
Sibonge kusho ukuthi njengoba silo sesibhodlile ke and silona sesibhodlile micro projects lapha angena khona emigaqweni akangene kule migwaqo lemkhulu lama national roads. Kwatholakala ukuthi there is a huge need lapho nasekumele umuntu aphume ku highway ayongena ekhaya. Shokuthi lama feeder roads nalama homestead roads. Ngolapho micro projects angena khona kule migwaqo lemncane whereby the community gets affected kakhulu. So sibonele ukuthi ke tsine so that istoba nale coverage leningi kumele ke nyela salos incorporate the communities themselves. Wekuthi sisebenzisane nabo. So you'll find that in our projects nyalo literally you find the community working with us. Such that mina nje libhanji lami lekubangijiniyela ngiye ngilibeke phase ungikhanze ngibhuca njengoba nibabona lapha esithombeni nami ngiba part of that. To show them lokuthi nasikhuluma ngekubhuca khongolo simbhuca kanjani sitoshiya lelwati lakibo.
So singalamanye amagama nithi kule misebenzi seni capacitator lesive ekutheni si connect isida nanoma senendlulele kule minye imiphakathi noma leminye imimango.
Kunjalo sesenda kanjalo ukuthi vele nyalo lelwati sesilishiya literally kwekuthi nasihamba sibashiye sebakwathi kwakha lomgwaqo.
Cha kuyevakala siyabonela ukuthi with the aid of visuals nababukele emakhasi bakhona ukuthi ibukele engabe athi nemavi lofuna kwabhekisa kuso sona sive lemakhaya ngoba ngile ngahlala kakhulu ngasekhaya ngiyibona imisebenzi yentuthuko ilethwa ukhanze ukuthi sive siyacelwa ekutheni siye emigwaqweni engcenye siyothatha ematshe noma siwakhweshisa noma siwabeke somewhere ukhanze ukuthi sivela siba ngu5 kanzi lamangweni siyathi ukuthi si over 150 nisasebenda niyahlangabetana yini nesaya lefana naleto.
Yes sihlangabetana nato kakhulu ngalo ukuthi over the years boy uthole ukuthi sisebenda nabo so contract manje abantu etingcondweni kwazi sekungena ukuthi hayi sekusebenza abo so contract kanyalo ke sesimemetela lokuthi asiphumeni sisebendeni kanye sisive. Ngalo ukuthi lo lokumcoka ngilokuthi lelwadi kumele lusale lapho kulomango lesebenzela kiwo. Niyabona nyalo nje lana sisebenta khona la sekucalwe khona lokhongolo nganyama lapha esiphocoseni. Akusike esiphocoseni kuphela ke la sisebenta khona siyasebenta empolonjeni siyasebenta emkhitheni siyasebenta emhlaba yaduma. Yabona kwanyalo there's a lot in line lokumele sisebente khona. Ngayo lendlela lena.
Ngiyabona ukuthi njengeliphiko lwahulumende hulumende sihlale sisho ukuthi ngihulumende wetinkundla nasithi tinkundla sikhuluma nge decentralization ukuthi lo sito alufike le emaphandleni fike everywhere lireach everyone kangwane lonke iswati kufuna usilithole imvuthuko ubuvedilekelo ukuthi nathi nanibekwa ning micro projects kwathola ukuthi there's a big need ekuthene ama feeder roads nemigwaqo le emaphandleni emimangweni nanayo bengilethuthukile ngiyabona ukuthi the overarching vision is the community development. Sisakhuluma ngaleyo ndzaba leyo sibona a big need yema footbridges and other bridges khona emimangweni where micro projects has come in. Sayibona imisebenzi leminengi niyenda kungipha nje sithombe ekutheni nisebenze kanjani in that particular program.
Okay lapho ke leyo program bo tebetebe literally tebetebe ngoba ema footbridges ethu ka micro ahlukene kabili kukhona le tinsimbi kukhona lama cables. Lama cables ke siyasebenzisana nebantfana labaqhamuka eMelika basihlangabete with i-organization base Engineers in Action. Kepha ngidawucela kungangeni kakhulu ngayo ngoba ukhona sisi Sibongile. I think utawufika tonichazela kakhudlwana ngakho.
Okay.
So lesikwenta kona lapha sisebenzisa the same formula lokuthi we engage the community. Aqhamuke micro projects athenge only the building material.
Okay.
Bese ke i-community iletha the local material in terms of emathe bo river sand.
As well as the people, the
As
human
well as the
resource.
people.
Okay.
Nakhona kusebenta laba kusebenta lesive. Yabona. Bese ke lama cable ke siwathola kulabelungu ngoba nje there is about 8 kilometers of cable laba sidonate yona. So nakhona sisebenta nabo ngoba sesi identify ukuthi lemifula meaning lemfula lehlupha save ikakhulu ukuthi access to hospital, access to schools, access to recreational facilities.
Yeah.
So nalapho we always choose lapho ekulama footpaths kakhulu.
Okay.
Lana kulo mimango nemimango. Sicetsa nje kulicetsa linye lapha eNgwempisi.
Okay.
Lelinye silicetsela la neNgwene. Sitocala lelinye kudwalile, sicale lelinye eNthonjeni. In total sesicoverishe 15 complete kulabo tebetebe la.
Those are the footbridges that you work in collaboration with Engineers in Action.
Yes, yes.
Ungafuni kungena kakhulu ke kulala manye lo sithi sisebenza ngawo nge-steel.
Yeah.
Okay. No, khayevakala Nkosi. Ngicabanga ukuthi I'm going to allow you to step aside after this ad break, and we're going to have Sibongile coming in engage ngawo lama footbridges with Engineers in Action.
Okay.
Nkosi siyabonga. That is Isikhumbuzo Dlamini, civil engineer with micro projects. Usipha nje ukuthi basebenze kanjani over particularly just the recent years really ekusebenteni kuthuthukisa demigwaqo, our road network, ema-feeder roads ikakhulu at community level. Sitakhulumisa indzaba yema-footbridges nyalo naSibongile lobuke imisebenzi labasebenza kakhulu nebafunzi labaqhamuka eAmerica lababita ngama-Engineers in Action. For 3 minutes after 7, siphinze sikwamukele ehlelweni. We have Sibongile Mathebula lophinze abeng Britney Magritte unemagama lamabili esingisi nesiswati. Sibongile sikwamukele ehlelweni. Welcome to the program.
Ngibonga. Ngiyajabula ukubona namuhla.
Yeah, Mkholo, please just give us a highlight of, the program that you are working with, micro projects as well as Engineers in Action. What is it really that you do at community level?
Yeah, so Engineers in Action is a community development organization focused on infrastructure access for rural communities who are lower income. And so we've been partnered with micro projects and the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development since 2017, building footbridges in the rural areas of this country. So, our model requires community buy-in, and then we're also partnered with the local government so that we can train and empower local Eswatini staff and community members to build pedestrian footbridges in rurally isolated communities.
Yeah, and how's the uptake in terms of the community buy-in? Are you happy with how these people work with you at community level?
We've been really pleased with the community buy-in in this country. I think, in the rural areas, there's a long and good history of people working on community projects, and there's a lot of buy-in at that local level. And so with our projects, we bring in foreign students who are learning from the community and working on the design projects, and they work and live together with the community. So we're seeing, 30 to 50 community members per day for a 2-month project on any of our bridges.
Yeah. You spoke on this project being born, or rather the inception of this project being in 2017.
Yeah.
You've come a long way. How far do you plan to go?
Yeah, we've been really growing each year because we've seen how great the partnership is in Eswatini, and so we're investing more resources in additional bridge technologies and additional training programs for local staff. So, when we started out, we were building one bridge, and then the next year we built 3, 5, and so this year we're building 6 bridges annually, and we hope that by 2030 we'll be able to double our impact in the country and reach, 10 to 12 communities
Do you
annually.
have a ballpark estimate of how many bridges you've made already?
Yes, we've built 18, and by the end of this year, we'll have built 21 bridges all over the country of Eswatini.
Great. Brittany, thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but hopefully you'll be able to come back next week, hopefully.
Hopefully, yes.
Awesome. Brittany Magritte, also known as Bongile Matsebula, with Engineers in Action as well as micro projects, working on community level development, constructing food bridges. Let's go for a quick ad break. We come back with the Industrial Development Company of Eswatini. 49 minutes after 7 asiphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni Kusile Breakfast Show. Sishilo ke nakuqala lihlelo ukuthi sidaba nebaya Industrial Development Company of Eswatini, who are back for their last episode, which is episode 10 with the program today. We welcome Mr. Mthunzi Dlamini. Lo Tausi khulumisa nje ekutheni what are the business development, or rather he's the head of property, and there's also the business development manager with IDCE. Lo taungena after Mr. Manzolwandle Dlamini. Namuhla ke sitawubuka indzaba ye property offering with the IDCE. Asikuvusele Nkosi ehlelweni. Ngabe nivuka kanjani?
Asivukile Mngoni.
Yeah. Nkosi siyatlo ukuthi nisebenza imisebenzi leminingi. I think nasikhuluma nga 10th episode. That means you've been here for the past 10 weeks, and you have a very engaging audience. Emakhaya bahlale bashayela. Bayafuna ke kuva njengoba namhla sitawukhulumisa indzaba lenkulu ekutheni in terms of industrial buildings, including factory shells. What does IDCE really offer?
Okay. Siyabonga Mngoni. Kusemukele ehlelweni lakho. NginguManzolwandle Dlamini. Ngisebenza ka IDCE, ngingu-head of property. IDCE unginomnyombo wekukhulisa umnotho eveni. Angilomnyombo nje sekunetinto vele latendile. Kukhombisa kwekuthi vele uyakwenda lokhu lakathunywe kona. IDCE unema supermarket, unema plaza all over the country. Kuna Pix Plaza, kuna Swazi Plaza eMbabane, kuna Simunye Plaza eSimunye, kuna Nhlangano Plaza eNhlangano. Lokho ukuthi phose tonke letigodi dala kaNgwane IDCE so ufikile wanyathela khona. Namuhla ke lihlelo lakhona sitawucila kakhulu kuma factory shells la kumathapha. Kumathapha sinema units ema factory shells la about 26. Kulama units la kumathapha arrange between 300 to 500 square meters ndawa lamancane ke lawo. Bese kuthi lasemkhathini arrange between 1000 to 3000 square meters ndamkhathini ke lawo. Lamakhulu nawo sinawo arrange between 5000 and above square meters. Siphinde sibe nemihlaba lesengayidevelop. Leyo mhlaba leyo ikhona kumathapha about 3000 square meters lababili. Ukhona kaManzini, it's about 2.1 hectare. Phinze ukhona nasenhlangano, it's about 2.1 hectares nakhona. Lokho ukuthi ke nangabe kukhona labafuna ukuthi sibakhele, sihlalisane phasi nabo, sibakhele leso sakhiwo lesitawuhambelana naloyo msebenzi labatabe bawenda. Ikakhulu ka food processing uthola ukuthi lapho kunama specification latsite lafuna ukuthi endiwe kusukela ku designing stage sifale sakhiwo. Yebo Mkhulu.
Shothi lapho nje kakhulu nikhuluma nema ngatsini interested companies for all those vacant pieces so highlighted ekutheni ni yaba offerishela.
Yebo Mkhulu.
cha yevakala Nkosi. And I see the importance of it ngoba kakhulu nyalo siyalibona livela kangwane licila kakhulu kubo African Continental Free Trade Area inzabe industrialization ihanjiswa embili, so siyathinga lo ukuthi sibe live lelikhona ukudikhicitela le-export. What are then the requirements for a business interested in renting space from IDCE?
Kwekuqala Mnguni ukuthi kumele ukuthi abe nalamaphepha alenkampani. Kwesibili siye sicele kubona ukuthi nangabe inkampani lebe ivela ikhona kusukela idolo asilethele amaphepha akhe asebhange sitokhona kubona ukuthi vele ungumuntu lo bhadala kanjani ngoba from the bank statement siyakhona kubona bo rental payment lapho. Siphinde si-check lama directors ama-ID ama-directors siyawacela sibese siwamixa le lapho ba-check khona abantu lapho babhadala khona ukuthi ubhadala njani vele i-character yakhe yekubhadala tikwenete isimo lesinjani. Kodwa nje angichaze Mnguni ukuthi inqumbi vele yalaba labaye bafike kithi kuye kube bantu vele lothola ukuthi bayaqualify. Lokunye Mnguni siye sithi lona lotanguyena asayinele lenkampani kumele ukuthi lama directors kube nema minutes lapho ahlangana khona amkhombeke lona lokuyoba ngena abesidladla sayo leyo nkampani. Loyo ke loba sidladla saleyo nkampani kuye kube nalezivumelwane ukuthi nangabe kuyendeka abakhona ukubhadala kahle vele kuye vele kubese lo mthetho so uhamba ufika ngisho nasetintweni takhe loyo muntu ukuthi banjwe tona ke kutawukhona ukuthi kubuye imali yesive ngoba phela IDCE vele uthunywe ngomhlaba ukuthi akende lo msebenzi lo. Kwekugcina ke Mnguni kulama requirements siye sifune i-deposit. Le deposit iba equivalent to 3 months rental payment.
Okay. Cha kuyevakala Nkosi ngiyatloya ukuthi niphinze kube nema tenants la specific, and I believe bobhekiwe bakile highlight lo. Unfortunately we've run out of our time. Mthunzi follows you to answer some of our other questions that we have regarding, you know, a summary of the other episodes.
Siyabonga Mnguni.
Let's go for a quick break. Stop kubeka na conversation yet funeka ka IDCE.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
We are back with IDCE. We have Mr. Mthunzi Dlamini. He's the Business Development Manager with IDCE. Nkosi sikwamukele ehlelweni.
Siyanimukela Nkosi. Thank you very much for having us.
Siyabonga naniphila Nkosi. This is the final episode with IDCE. What message would you like to pass to the viewer?
First of all is to thank the viewers for giving us time to listen to all our episodes before. But finally, we are saying as IDCE, siyabonga kakhulu kuba sehlelweni, and we want to say to our viewers, we are welcoming them. Kutsibete, we've got a different of products lesibalungiselele wona. Kutsibete batowa accessor. I think my colleagues before say a lot of products that we have. Long-term products for those that want to get EMA facilities, la short-term, and we've got long-term products for la development for EMA projects la thatha sikhathi lesithe ukuthi akhone kuphumelela. Lawo afake ekhathi EMA working capital loans, EMA corporate loans and equity, EMA loans for agricultural development, So we've got a wide range, and we're saying we are very much welcoming them to Tsibete, but to Funai loans with IDCE for all their projects.
Umlangeni nakaphuma uvete indzaba lenkulu ukuthi ningumnyombo wentuthuko evela ngwane sisakhuluma ngayo ke intuthuko nisasebenza nje ngiphi sector or rather ema sector lunwabone ngathi amcwa kakhulu they are major into the development or rather to be major growth sectors really in the kingdom.
Already live la kangwane mainly masingathi pheceledi we are saying we're an agro-based economy. Which means that as a country, kufanele ukuthi sikhicite kakhulu timvo tekudla. But it is very unfortunate ukuthi kuze kube kunyalo so as we see self-sustainable in the major crops that we grow. I think that is the sector that IDC wants to actually pursue kakhulu. And siyajabula kakhulu nje manje masibona le hulumende bakangwane. You know there is a big dam that is coming up le Mpangeni Dam. And we want to be a major player even in those areas like construction, so that the agriculture, because the agriculture and the construction for the dams, the mine, there is a lot. And there must spill off lamaningi lapho kuleyo dam layo for other contracting companies which are for the misebenzi. IDC utivulile tandla ukuthi all those construction companies la khona but nje coming back to your actual question ukuthi yini i-sector lesiyibukile kakhulu we are in the agricultural sector mawungena nje from Lavumisa uziyofika bo Sphofaneni you see ukuthi the country is turning green and part of those farms that have been turned green IDC has played a very crucial role in developing that area. So in the agricultural space, the construction space, and the property development njengoba mbulangeni bekala akhuluma ngayo property ukuthi we are very big into those spaces and we are seeing those as the growth areas as a country la singakhona kungena khona sidlale lichaza lekuthi sikhulise umnotfo welive la kangwane.
Yeah, and we do take this opportunity now to see Kusile breakfast show nje ku encourage amaswati ukuthi they should there should be an uptake of these services really because and fortunately they do have these episodes on YouTube and learn more about these services, but also they can contact you as a IDCE. Please just give them the contact details at Tseni.
No, siyabonga kakhulu sise Lanubega 5th floor and that's where we are. The number of the city shito kakhulu. But they can contact us through our numbers and through our emails and even come to our offices. Officers, they are very much experienced to give them all the advice and information that they need to access Lama facilities less now as IDC.
Sibonga the journey that we've had with you. Hopefully, Ndapinzanbuya again. Siqalelenye journey with Kusile Breakfast Show and IDCE. Contact them 76229989 or 79929989. We've come to the end of our program today. Thank you for staying with us.